much bigger than this, and I can't fit everybody in our stage today. So when we start our role play, our MH...
Sorry to interrupt. Pat's going to announce that you guys are doing this right now.
Oh, okay.
So sorry.
Okay. I forgot to do a little bit of a disclosure. They're not real actors. Or actors. But anyway, so again, whether we're doing a demo with the puppets and the horses, or whether this is part of our networking, this is an actual networking scenario that we start. So the first thing that we do is we do our classroom component. And if you guys can just visualize, and for a demonstration at a hospital or a demonstration at a potential collaboration, it's really exciting. When the CEOs or COOs or any of the decision makers come in and they see this kind of stuff, it just already puts a little bit of a question in their mind. Hey, what's going on? A little bit of fear, I think, definitely, because they know they're going to get picked on. But and some people, given a COO status, especially of a big hospital, or this is a piece of cake, it's a game, and then what really comes out of it, it turns out to be extremely effective and very empowering for not only their staff, but then their clients. So we'll go into a classroom component, and the first thing that we're learning today, or today's lesson, is observation versus perception, and we usually like to pair off. So let's have Rhiannon and Jimmy, if you could pair off today, that would be great. And Beth and Alex, if you could pair off, Terry and Vanessa, and how about the two of you? Okay? And I'd like everybody to just take a moment and look at the two different pictures and discuss between yourselves or amongst yourselves what you think are observations from the two pictures, and then what you think is a perception, or maybe a perception. The puppet, and we would also put it out to the crowd. If there's a crowd watching, we can certainly ask them as well what they feel and get them involved right away from the beginning. So let's ask our first team, Beth and Alex. If you could tell the crowd and make our voices a little bit on the loud side, what's one observation and what's one perception?
Our first observation is that his mouth is open, and our first perception is that he's happy.
Okay, so the mouth is open. Does everyone agree that that's an observation?
Yes.
Okay, and perception is that he's happy. Yeah. Could be, right? Or he could be. Or he could be. So that's the opposite. And he said he's angry. So anyone else have a different face feeling? Angry, happy, sad? Mad? Mad, right? Handing it up to the camera. Perception. Excited. Okay. All right, thank you. Next team, Terry and Vanessa. One observation and one perception.
Our first observation would be the ball that has two arms on the right and only one arm on the left. And then our perception was that he's in a candy store.
He's in a candy store. Perception?
Yeah?
Yeah, could be. And the actual fact that the balls are on the right and one. And what would be another observation added to the two balls on the right and one on the left? What's an observation or a fact about those balls? They're orange, right? That's a fact. So now in our networking, what we'll really do is tie it back into our arena work. And at that time, I would have re-explored maybe how some of our clients will come in with a face that's not necessarily how they're feeling that day, or it could be at the complete opposite. So from then I'll maybe turn it over to a mental health point of view. Rhiannon, if you could add on that?
Husband or me?
Both?
Okay. So as far as what your perception and observation versus your body language?
Yeah.
Okay, so
what Steve's talking about is working with the nonverbal versus the verbal communication. It's a very challenging thing for many beginning professionals in the field is working with the nonverbal versus the verbal, especially with the facial expressions, nonverbal behavior, any type of nonverbal versus verbal presentation. That's one of our slides. So you would have someone possibly in the networking through your mental health professional talk about all the ways that this could be interpreted, but perhaps all the ways that it goes the opposite way, all the ways that the other could be feeling or anything like that. So just raising awareness about our own observations and our own perceptions of the session itself. You might have a kid that says, I don't want to have to do this, but then they go catch the hogwarts. So you have to look at the perception part of our SMUD model. So that's where my role as a mental health professional comes in.
Okay, next group. Caroline, Lisa, and Christine have one observation and two perceptions. Okay? A perception was that he took the bite out of that lollipop. Perception? Perception. He took the bite out of the lollipop. Okay?
Observation was that he left, whatever.
So the size, right, of the size of the object, right. So you see how careful her words were there? So pink object, if she said pillow, we don't really know if that's a pillow or not. It could be or it couldn't be, not really sure. One of the other things that we challenge ourselves with is all of these. I'm big into trashy magazines because I feel like we could learn a lot from little articles and little things. And if you ever look at Us Weekly and all sorts of, trashy magazines, every one of them in the back have these. And it's tests. Now, of course, it's not about observation and perception. It has a little answer key at the bottom and it says, how many things can you find wrong with this picture versus in the other picture. So I turned it into an activity, a learning activity. And one of the other things that came up in our last session, the magazine had a picture of, now I've never watched the show in my life, but it was, what was the show called? Big Love. Big Love. So I had no idea. I had no idea what it was. But it was characters who looked like the characters on that TV show. And Caroline says, oh, she watches the show on occasion, or maybe on a weekly basis. And she said, oh, that's so-and-so from Big Love. So my first question was, what or who is Big Love? And after that, and I said, well, how did you know that? She said, well, look, that's them. And I said, well, if you think about that, it doesn't, people have stunt doubles, so it looks like them. It absolutely looks like who you're referring to. But then after she thought about it a little while, she said, you know what? That's my perception of who it is. It looks like those actors on TV, and just like this looks like Mariah Carey's husband, looks like, but we're not really sure if this is Mariah Carey's husband or not. It may be someone who looks, it may be twins, who knows? So again, keeping that in mind with perception coming into the arena, whether you are a mental health professional or the expert specialist. So last week, Jimmy and Rhiannon, one observation and one perception.
I observed that
maybe with her ass is like that whole piece on. Think of that.
So the cup of the
Hello,
shirt
what
on the
are you
left
talking
is
about?
smaller than the one on the right. Fact? Okay, and a perception? Two different shirts. Perception is, it could be two different shirts, or it is two different shirts. That's perception. Okay? Anyone in the audience have some creative perception?
Oh. Shut up. No.
You wanted
no.
he's a molester.
What's wrong with her?
That's an observation.
Perception.
Okay, so again, this activity would last a little bit longer because there are many things that could go into this conversation.